Let's talk about playing small. So, this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. I think, especially as a woman, there is a propensity that I see in myself and amongst my community to find little excuses or little ways that we can hide and play small so that we don't need to step into our greatness. Because ultimately, the fear of stepping into our greatness is that I think we may discover that we are not worthy, that we are not as resourced, or we are not as capable as we want to believe we are. And the idea of discovering that is debilitating and crushing. And so often we sort of play within these arenas that we know that are safe so that we can, not have to have those feelings of failure or of, hitting our wall of futility, which we know deep down in our heart more times, more often than not, will lead us to that next expansive place and that next opportunity for growth. And yet there's still a lot of fear and reluctancy around that. And often it's subconscious. I catch myself subconsciously blocking myself from doing, having, or creating certain things all the time. And it's wonderful because I get to then stop and investigate and ask myself, okay, is this something that I really want that I am blocking myself from playing small around? Or is now not the time to act? Have I not collected all the data and, compiled all the evidence and taken the time to check in with myself to see if this is right for me, if this is the way forward that I want to take? Because ultimately my energy is a currency, and I want to spend that currency in a way that is aligned with my truth and my higher purpose. And there's moments in life where we can get a little bit sidetracked from that or a little bit derailed. And some of those things might be slipping into a fear mindset, or falling into codepending, putting other people's needs before your own. And all of these things can throw us a little bit off kilter when it comes to really being in touch with our inner navigation system and what is best for us. So a few tips that I have around connecting with that. The first one that has been super effective for me is mindfulness and meditation. So as a busy creative entrepreneur, there's a million things I want to do and a million things that I want to create. And they're always sitting there sort of like a peanut gallery yelling at me, being like, do me, focus on me. And it's overwhelming at best and paralyzing at worst. And so I really need to create stillness and space in my life, because it's within that stillness or following that stillness that I tend to get these really clear directives from my inner voice. And I've learned to be able to identify them because they're louder and they speak differently than the voices of fear or the voices of reluctance or the voices of self-sabotage. They're sort of this voice that just comes up out of me, speaks louder than any other of those little niggly voices, and just says, girl, this is what you have to focus on right now. This is what we're doing. And of course, I've got plenty of structures in place in my life, lists and accountability, feedback loops, and groups, and more lists and notes and agendas, schedules, that all where I've built in everything that I want to create and do. And yet checking in with this voice helps me to make sure that I've built all of those things out in a direction, in a way that is, what is most pertinent for me and what is most aligned for me. So that is one of the methods through meditation that I really help hone in on getting clear about being able to listen to that voice that is going to align me with my higher good and sort of direct me towards what actions that I will really be valuable for me and will help me to stop playing small. Number 2 is through journaling. And so I actually like to combine my meditation and journaling. Often I will do some meditation in the morning, follow that with a bit of journaling, and then set the intention for my day, and then conclude my journaling practice in the evening. And what this does is it sort of sets me out on the right path in the morning. It gets me aligned with what it is that I want to focus on. And then even if I don't actively think about that during the day, it still gives me the opportunity to subconsciously have put it into my sort of mental soup, and it percolates. And then by the end of the day, often I will have had a clear thought or an idea or an alignment that then I can sort of articulate, write down, and then build into these other structures that I was talking about, like journals and schedule and things like that, to really integrate what has come to me. So the final, well, it's not final, but the final thing I'll touch on in this video, and the third thing I'll touch on in this video, is the idea of letting go of a timeline. Sometimes we don't know, and we don't know when we're going to know. And that's part of trusting that as long as you are on your path of following your truth, and you're checking in with yourself, and you are creating space to let those creative and guiding ideas flow through you, that they will hatch when the time is right. And worrying about when they're going to hatch or putting pressure on yourself to force them to hatch is not going to help. It's actually going to hinder you. So be aware when you are, thinking, I really should know by now. I really wish I could make a decision about this, but it's just not coming to me and I'm stressing out about it. That stress is going to block you from being able to connect to that deeper navigational system. So just notice that and perhaps meditate around the stress and releasing the stress, because that will be a block for you to accessing that inner sanctitude. So I'm curious to hear from you about playing small and finding the right time to, act on some of your bigger dreams and goals. Do you catch yourself playing small in your day-to-day life? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Do you catch yourself playing small? What does that look like? Do you have some sort of patterns that you tend to follow regularly that are big for you, that kind of constantly come up? Certain sabotaging, self-sabotaging mechanisms that you've noticed, that when you find yourself in that, you're like, aha, this is happening again. So curious about those for you, because I think they're different for all of us. And also just curious about how you connect with yourself. What's your entry point into your psyche when you want to access maybe your truth or your higher good, or that information that just seems like it's just below the surface and it's not always easy to interact with our conscious mind. So let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. I can't wait to continue the conversation. I am Katie Webster. You can find more of my work, my writing, opportunities to work with me, and join some of my small group meditation and mindfulness groups over at katiewebster.ca. I'm super excited to connect with you in the comments, so please do let me know what you think, and I hope you have a beautiful day, and I can't wait to connect with you again.